definitely, like I said, people thought my work was digital a lot. And
Uh-huh.
like subject matter wise, like that came a bit later. At first, it
Hmm.
was sort of the way that I wanted my artwork to kind of be perceived.
Perceived,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. So it was definitely, I was like sick of hearing digital because, like I said, I was a purist. I would only paint, and hearing that, oh, this is digital. Oh, it's so clean, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, I want my human hand. I want my hand to be seen in the work that I do. So it was texture. A lot of it was texture. I would start, being more painterly. I would experiment with, what do you call that? Or like, different ways of like overlaying paint over each other, just showing the process of it. Like when you look at that flat image, you'd be like, it's just like, oh, you painted. But when you look at my work now, it's like there are layers, and you could see where I did this or where I made a specific painting, like a paint stroke.
Hmm.
Um, and then after that, I expanded by, really just forcing myself to use strong colors because I was so afraid to that my work was so quiet a long time ago. It was like so quiet. It didn't pull you. It didn't have a impact. It was just so fucking pastel. And then so when I started, I was just like, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna use paint straight from the tube. And that's how I fell in love, like which the colors that I use now are mostly the three primary colors. And it's super bold, and I just had to scare myself a little and go really bold and not be like, okay, I should mute it, like tone it down. So after that, color scheme went into it. And then, just I, I stopped being so cutesy about a lot of things, stopped using such soft lines. I had harder edges, and, it's just being bolder. I guess that's where I started to feel more like, okay, this work is more me. Because I mean, it represents me in a lot of ways because, yeah, like, okay, so when I went into college, I was very quiet. I was very quiet. I was super awkward, extremely anxious. I had like severe anxiety. So everyone would forget my name. They wouldn't know like who I was. It was just embarrassing. And I was just like hide in the classroom. But then I was like, that's not me. My work exactly reflected that, this insecurity, this like sort of shyness, this anxiety, just trying to be safe all the time. And then as I realized, like that's not me at all. I'm a bolder person. I have a very strong, like big personality. And, it came hand in hand. Like as I started being like, being more open and, really showing my personality, like, I take up a lot of the room when I fucking go somewhere because that's how I am.
Hmm.
So I wanted my work to reflect that as well. I didn't want it to be quiet. Like I wanted it to shout at you from across the room. And like, so it was really a lot about just taking risk and showing this like big, like, bleh, I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, it was like basically that's where I started to really find what I did.
Yeah, as you said, not so fucking pastel. I love that. I mean, it says so
Yeah,
much with so little.
yeah.
From a creative perspective, that makes so much sense. Now, when it comes to your, because I mean, at the end of the day, it was you wanted to express something that you weren't ready to express, maybe from a technical perspective, but also from a personal perspective. Again, because of maybe emotional problems or anxiety or things of that nature. So, what was the thing that helped you the most from a personal perspective? Because I think a lot of times, I mean, artists are their own worst enemies. It's not really their lack of technical ability or maybe their lack of understanding who they want to be, but just a matter of them just getting in the way through, again, insecurities, anxieties, doubts, or needs to please others. Like in your personal scenario, was it more like you graduated high school and you sort of evolved into this person that you were always meant to be, or was it like a progressive thing? Like how did that happen for you?
So this is something that I really pride myself on because I still do have anxiety, like clinical anxiety, but I didn't even realize I did until I went to college, and it just was so hard. Like I would ask for ketchup and I'd be shaking because I was having such a hard time. I was so nervous just talking to people
How
and
about
then look
class
people in the eye.
presentations? How about class presentations? How
Oh,
about those
fuck,
things?
I'd be there and speaking, and I'd forget what I was talking about, and it was just horrible. I was like, holy shit, I can't get anywhere like this. I can't, meet people, you know, and I was so sick of people forgetting who I was, you know, constantly asking me, what's your name again? Or, you know, like forgetting my work, not even, you know, I was like, because when I was with close friends, I was comfortable and I was more me and I was exciting. So I literally I practiced every single day. I would go to the same coffee shop and I would order the same thing, but I would practice ordering because that was so important for me to like stop being invisible. So I would go to the same coffee shop and I'd be like, okay, can I get this? And you know, I had a script in my head. So they say, hey, how are you? And I'd be like, you know, usually I'd just be like, good. But then this time I was like, I'd be like, good, how are you? And I'd try to start a conversation and just practice talking to people. So it took years and then, you know, I would, another thing that I did was I'd see someone that I was like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna go to school, and if I see someone that is in my class, we don't have to be friends or anything. I'm gonna say hi to them, no matter if they say hi back. I'm just gonna say hi. And then so I started just, you know, forcing myself to be like, hey, or whatever, and not be so scared of it. You know, if they accidentally don't hear me, I don't go, you know, I don't just put myself in my hole and never try again. I force myself to get out of my comfort zone. And yeah, and as my confidence grew, which it took like a fucking like 2 years for me to really just start talking to people. And, you know, I'd still have like my panic attacks here and there when, you know, when I would come like feeling anxious already.
When you said hi and they actually answered.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, what do I do now? I was like, what the fuck? You know, this wasn't in the plan. And I was like, yeah. But as it kept going, like, you know, I almost like it was like fake it till you make it almost. I just put on this sort of like feigned confidence. And then as my confidence grew, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna take more risks with my work. I'm gonna, you know, it was so great. Like I felt like I opened a whole new world. Everything just became brighter. I became like you know, more just louder and who I am. And you know, and also this goes back to the cultural thing. I was sick of being seen as that stereotype as the quiet Asian girl. You know, I was like, what the fuck? You know, like not, you know, I have a huge personality and I'm not gonna be seen as that anymore. So yeah, it was really important for me to like make myself known and and let people know that I am like, you know, you can't step on me basically. You know, so it's really important to be seen as stronger than I am even. And that's my work as well, in a sense, to just, you know, not be so safe and quiet. It's like I want it to say what I can't say, or you know, speak for itself basically. So yeah, it went hand in hand, and it's just a lot of practice and growing up as well, because I entered college at 18, which is like such an awkward age. But yeah, just becoming an adult and with the help of like alcohol a little bit too. But yeah, you know, there's a little bit of everything.
Or a lot of help from alcohol.
Or yeah.
I know, I know. I definitely depended on that too much when I was growing up, for sure. Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I mean, in hindsight, it's easy to see and connect the dots. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was a development that happened from both ends, both creatively, maybe from a technical perspective, whatever, finding yourself, but also from a personal perspective, because at the end of the day, your art reflects who you are and what you're trying to do. So I'm guessing to this day, you still do the same things one way or another, right? Maybe now it's not saying hi to a person, but it might be, you know, another insecurity that you might have from a creative or personal perspective, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. And where do you see yourself now? What's something that you're struggling with now that you are on the same process of just faking it until you make it?
I feel like now it's you know, it's less of a battle with like the outside elements, like speaking to people. It's just so natural to me now. But now it's like a lot, I have to focus a lot like internally. I definitely get super comfortable where I am sometimes because I'm like, okay, I have a job, you know, I have a job, my work is doing pretty well, blah blah blah. And I'm like, maybe I don't have to keep striving, or you know, maybe I could just like relax with this for a while. And you know, so many like hurdles came for all of us recently. I mean, like the pandemic, who the fuck expected that? It was like right after I graduated college, and I was like, oh, like what the hell? Like this just ruins all my plans. Not that I'm much of a planner, but you know, I did not expect to be staying home for like a whole year. That was definitely not in the books. And then yeah, and then I had like two like major surgeries this year, and after that there's like recovery time, and I just like there are moments where I was just like, whatever, like I'm comfortable, I'm just gonna lay here, I used a lot of it as an excuse. It was like pandemic, okay, I'm not gonna try for more because no one can really do anything. It's like surgery, okay, I have to recover, so I can't really do anything. Another surgery, like I can't do anything, so I'm just gonna focus on recovering, whatever. And then I would like coddle myself basically, and I'd just be like, oh, you're going through a lot, you're going through a lot, so give yourself a break, which is, yeah, we all need our breaks, but I take it so far where it's like a month has passed. I haven't touched a painting. I haven't, had a new project endeavor or anything. So it's like a struggle for me now is just to stay motivated. And, it was easy in school. It was fucking easy because, we had finals, we had different classes. It was a dynamic environment and, there are creative people all around you. But now it's like, I'm graduated. I have me and only me to kind of push me at this point. So that's something that I really kind of have to get better at.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I get it 100%. And again, it's part of the process. It's very easy. It's very easy and addictive to fall into self-pity and complacency, which happens a lot of time, especially as you progress, because it's easy to rationalize your lack of progress just by looking at what you've done and how far you've come. But if that is conflicting to where you want to go in the future, then you have to pretty much just get your ass up and start moving again, which is I understand. I understand exactly what you're saying and what you're going through in that terms. So that is it from a personal perspective, is just struggling with consistency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. These days, like nothing's consistent. So it's hard to be consistent yourself.
Of course. Yeah, and it's funny now that you say that yeah, college, school, definitely places and it puts you in an environment with a lot of accountability systems where you're pretty much forced to be doing stuff, whether it be like by social proof and social pressure, or literally because you have a teacher telling you just present your exams. But when you're actually in the real life, yeah, you're right. Like it's a lot harder to just stick with it, because again, there's everybody has emotional problems. Everybody has, fuck ups or mistakes that might be demotivating or things like that. So I can definitely understand what you're saying. Now, from a creative perspective, how happy, and this is a tough question, but it's a question that I really, really like asking. How happy are you genuinely with where you're at creatively right now? From 1 to 10, like if you could put like a number on it.
I'd say like a 6 right now. Mm-hmm. Just because I'm 24. Even though I feel like I'm younger, I don't know, the pandemic time is just weird. But I just know that I could do so much more. But like I said, it's like I'm standing in my own way. Creatively, yeah, like my work, I love what I'm doing. And I come to a point even sometimes with my paintings where, I get so invested and it's just such a exciting process for me that I fall in love with my paintings even. Like I just, I have such a connection to them and I love it. So yeah, work-wise, I do love it, but I know I can do more. I can work bigger. I can work more ambitious. So yeah, I'd say like a 6. Like I am happy with it. I'm happy with the different projects I do, with the jobs that I have. I am, but I know my potential and I know I'm like not even beginning to touch it. So yeah, I'm happy, not satisfied. Yeah, there's just so much more I could do, but I'm in my own way. So yeah.
Again, going in your way again because of what you just said of just the complacency and self-pity problems, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically.
Okay. And when it comes to what's next for you, like you're a 6 out of 10 right now. What else do you feel like you could be or would like to be doing? Is it more projects, like literally the quantity? Is it the quality? Is it trying different creative disciplines, maybe diving into something like fashion or something like more specifically graphic design? Like what things are missing for you?
So I think a huge aspect or something that I really enjoy doing is like, I get motivated by people a lot. I love being in a very creative environment surrounded by people who are also just as driven and creative and just constantly thinking. So I love doing like collaborations. I want to work with more people, especially musicians. It's something that I've always, because I love music so much. It's like I love almost every genre. I have a very broad whatever, like what I like with music. But but I'm very musically challenged. Like I tried, you know, Asian mom, I've done fucking piano, whatever, like all the other things. But, you know, it's like, I'm so musically illiterate. So I admire someone who does like something creative that I can't even begin to touch. So as an artist, as a creative, I want to get close to that by working with musicians. I want to do, I don't know, I just want to work with them somehow. And I am starting to do a lot of that because I've met a lot of musicians recently. So that's a huge thing, is just to continue to work with more artists, and like, because also, like I said, it's so hard to keep myself accountable. So if I do projects with other people, it's kind of like this team effort. Like, you know, we kind of check on each other, and you know, because when it's just me, honestly, I feel myself all the time and I don't feel guilty about it. I'm like, oh, fuck it. But when I have someone else in the mix, I do not want to like let them down at all. Like if I have a creative partner and I'm gonna pull my weight, you know, I'm not that kid in the group project who didn't do shit. I was so anxious that I would do more, because I would be like, oh fuck, like, you know, I gotta you know, I have to make sure that I pull my weight. So yeah, that's huge for me. I definitely want to keep exploring typography a lot more as well. I want to, because I have a lot of projects going on, and I want to, I don't know, I want to, for typography, for graphic design, I'm in that stage where I was before, very safe, very kind of, you know, it's still great, or not great, but it's still me and it's still fun. But I want to definitely do what I did with my painting and kind of get more bold and experimental and exciting. Yeah, so I want to do more with typography. Fashion as well, definitely is something that I always want to delve into, but I guess it's so untouched for me. It's like, I'm like, even before the little,
it's scary.
Like, yeah, I'm that in a little ball again. So I want to continue on with those things, and just constantly have something going, because I find myself in these like things where I'm just like always moving for like half a month. It's like fucking chaos, and it's awesome, and it's almost like ecstasy. It's so great. But then right after all that's over, it's just a slump where sometimes nothing happens. I just have my day-to-day job, you know, which is still creative. It's cool. But then I don't have motivation. It's just all this activity and then nothing. And I want to have just a steady, you know, a healthy way of doing it, rather than these like binges of creativity and it's nothing after that. I want to have a constant, you know, something going. So yeah, I guess that's my next sort of thing, is just to keep myself going constantly and just stopping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty productive realization. I mean, community groups or groups do work as really, really strong accountability systems. I have found that to be very, very productive, whether you are in the business sphere, whether you are in the fashion sphere or the creative sphere, just again, by networking, either through people from other disciplines or people that you know, just so that you can continuously do stuff. But for you, like if you could do, because I do want to understand what do you want to do like long term? What's the dream? Like what do you see yourself doing in like 10, 15 years? Again, just first thing that comes to your mind, is it like do you see yourself going through like a more business oriented route, purely focused on creativity? Like where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years?
Hard to say for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to say like right off the bat, I'd say working for myself, basically.
Right.
Be my own boss first and foremost. And just, it's just so cliche or whatever, but just doing what I love, like not having to do any work that, you know, I want to be successful enough to refuse jobs that I don't really care about.
Right.
But I don't know, I want to take more of like an entrepreneurial route as well. Yeah, definitely more business. I think I'm very bad at business too, so it's hard for me to get into that, but I definitely want to venture out, and because I have done things where I've sold like my own merchandise, all that stuff, and it's done really well. Actually, I was very surprised at all the support, and it's just like I'm not consistent enough with that. But I want to like continue like to do more freelance as well. I, like I said, I want to work with musicians. I want to do a little bit of everything. I guess there's not one solid thing. But at the end of the day, I just want to have the power to pick and choose. And yeah, freelance, entrepreneurial stuff, just like I want to be able to do it all.
Yeah. No, I get
Yeah.
it. I get it. I get it. And from a business perspective, what do you think is the biggest challenge that you're having? Is it still the same thing of you being your worst enemy, or is it just not really knowing how to approach it? Like what's really stopping you from a business perspective? Because I mean, your work is good enough. I mean, I think that the biggest challenge for most people from a business perspective is just they're just not good enough yet for for it to be worth it for other people to actually be buying stuff. But for you, what do you think the challenge has been? Because I don't think it's quality. Again, you just saw it. Again, you just saw it with the prints. I mean, if you start selling your Korean shoes, those things would sell like hotcakes as well. So what has it been for you? Because I'm sure you've
So
noticed, right?
I think you've really hit the nail on the nose. Is that how you say it? The nail on the head? Whatever. But I think it's exactly that. I actually was talking about this yesterday because so my brother, he's a very business oriented dude, but I'm just like creative person.
Yeah.
I have no, yeah. It's not that I can't. It's that I like. Yeah. I'm in my own way because I don't. The whole business side of things. It's like I hate being in charge of like doing that stuff. So like I have talked to my brother about him kind of helping me with the business aspect while I kind of, go with like the like just I don't know, I want to just do what I want and someone just like fucking do it all for me because I know I can. Not even to like toot my own horn, but I have had inquiries to, like purchase certain things and I'm just like to be honest, like if I just kind of go for it, like I know I could, be able to sustain like I can what I hate is realizing the fact that I can hit that 5-10 year mark goal already, to be honest. If I just commit to doing certain things, but I just it's hard for me. The business aspect makes my head hurt. And then there's just so many technicalities that I don't want to deal with. And which is also like it's just stopping me from kind of being on my own and not having to work like as a studio assistant or like the other jobs that I do. So yeah, it's just the business aspect of it is like something that I'm very like untrained in. It's another like sort of
Completely different discipline. Yeah.
exactly another thing that's untapped for me. It's like to some people it comes second nature. For me, that's like art is like second nature to me. But business is like this foreign thing that I'm just like, how, like, what are like, you gotta tax stuff or whatever, like, like money and fucking financial shit. It's like, oh, like makes my head spin. All I know is that I just want to be able to make enough to fucking pay rent, buy my dog fucking awesome bones or whatever the fuck treats. But yeah, it's just so technical. So it does, it's very daunting. It's super intimidating. So I think that's what's holding me back is like, I'm just scared of it in a sense.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And what's funny is that business and creativity are complete opposites, not only from a technical perspective, but from an emotional perspective. The things that work for creatives do not work in the business sphere usually. Creatives tend to flourish in very chaotic environments and with very chaotic processes because it enhances, the freedom and the openness of just creating whatever the hell you want, which is productive for the creation. But when it comes to business, it really is all about structure. It's about focus. It's about prioritizing. It's about, I don't want to say math because it really isn't about it's not really, I think people tend to believe that the biggest issue with business is their lack of technical ability, but it really is it's just a completely different emotional ability. Like,
Oh, yeah.
again, being able to focus in one project for a specific amount of time, getting shit done by a specific date, being able to negotiate. Again, these are completely different skills that artists are just naturally not good at. There's some exceptions, like there's some artists that are brilliant business people, but that's so rare. I mean, it's extremely, extremely rare to find somebody like that because again, of the contrasting nature between those two disciplines. So I 100% understand what you're saying. Have you thought about getting like a manager or talent agencies just to start off and get everything rolling?
Actually, yeah, I was like talking to my brother because he's like literally a business dude. And that's like my brother, So it is intimidating thinking of like what is like, how does that even work? But just because I'm so like I don't even want to touch the business side, I have talked to my brother about sort of teaming up almost or like kind of
Partnering up.
yeah, basically. But because it's family too, it's kind of easy to just be like, he's like, oh, like you should do this. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. I'm just like, oh, God, shut up. You know, it's not very professional. But yeah, I definitely want it in like in the near future. I actually do hope to sort of, because I would trust him to sort of, because he's very business savvy. So I have thought about it a lot actually, but it's just, yeah, I always make excuses. I'm like, oh, I'm working on this project or I'm too busy, whatever, whatever. It's always like, it's my own fucking head. But yeah, I do in the near future definitely want to work business wise with someone else who could kind of like, because to be honest, if I were to do it, like it wouldn't be as good. You know, I would just be like, ah, I don't want to deal with it. And so
Yeah,
I
it'd be
wouldn't.
counterproductive.
Yeah, because I have done things on my own right now, and you know, I get so like exhausted easily. It's just like I get drained from doing stuff like that. So I just, you know, I work overtime with that for a second, and too much of it, I'm just like, I don't want to touch it. I just want to paint. You know,
Yeah,
like
mental health problems,
yeah,
anxiety
like,
comes back, depression. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, hell yeah, definitely think about that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Awesome, Sarah. Well, I mean, that's been an awesome conversation. I think we touched about a lot of, it's weird to think how much topics you can really cover in just an hour. I mean, we talked about the process, we talked about your story, we talked about challenges, both creatively, personally, from a business perspective. What do I want to end this podcast on? I do want to ask you just a very interesting question.